Okay, everybody should be muted and Les, take it away.
Yeah, so as Julie mentioned, David Ray was planning to do this program, but his father's in the hospital and not in very good shape. So he's been in Wheeling at the hospital with his father for a number of days here. So I'm a last minute substitute to do the presentation tonight. So I'm still getting myself set up here. Sorry. There we go. So the topic of pitchers, jugs, and drinking sets, I'm not sure who suggested this topic. It really doesn't include decanters, which a lot of people collect. It doesn't include cocktail shakers, which a lot of people collect. Now, that said, if you've got them ready to show us, that's just fine. You know, we just enjoy seeing Cambridge glass. But the topic is pitchers and jugs, so these larger objects, and then the tumblers that go with them. So what was it, Julie? I found out 3-4 days ago I was going to be doing this, so I did a little quick research on the topic. Something that really amazes me is this word jugs, that Cambridge was like fixated and calling what we call pitchers jugs. And the other word that comes in often for some of these large containers of fluid with a pouring lip is tankard. Now, tankard, when I hear the word tanker and when I go to the dictionary, I see something like this. This is a tankard. Very big in England. In England, normally straight-sided. This is a German one I got on a trip to Germany. So all definitions that I've been able to find either in the UK or the US as far as English, a tankard is a drinking cup, often for beer. So I don't know why Cambridge used tankard. Typically, when they use the word tankard, it was a pitch, what we call a pitcher today, that's straight-sided. So I've got an example here from my collection. This is from the near-cut era from 1918. It's called a tankard. It'll hold 2 quarts, a half gallon. It's the fish design on it. So the handle is a fish, and then it's got intaglio into the glass fish and aquatic life otherwise on it. It's in the 1918 catalog, near-cut catalog. The 1921 catalog has only the similar one that's a peacock. I also have the peacock. In fact, I purchased the one in the NCC auction in March, which has the peacock and satin, which is kind of something different. So they made the peacock tankard longer. But again, I mean, it's a thing to pour liquid. Again, most of us would consider it to be a pitcher. So what's going on here? Early near-cut years, Cambridge referred to either tankards or pitchers. They didn't use the word jug early. As the years went on, pitcher was reserved for small things like syrup pitchers, smaller items, not for water or other large volumes of liquid. So I was mystified. Why continuously was the word jug used? I mean, just all the way from the, really after the near-cut era until through the reopen period, it was jugs consistently. And when I go to the dictionary and check jugs, I think most of us think of like that pottery thing that's got the narrow top on top that you can put the cork in. That's what most of us consider a jug. And that's really what the English language in the US has. But I've had a revelation. I checked British English, and guess what? They do not use the word pitcher. They use the word jug for what we call pitchers. So why would Cambridge do that? Well, because of the original general manager, A.J. Bennett, Arthur James Bennett, was born in London and came to the US as a young man. So many of the decorations, the different types of blanks that Cambridge made have a major English theme. Now, A.J. Bennett passed away in 1940, and boy, they made a lot of jugs after 1940. And when his son-in-law took over the company, and they must have just decided, well, everybody in the company and our sales reps are used to calling them jugs. We're going to continue to call them jugs. Now, probably when many of us think of jugs, I don't know if Freeman and Jeannie are on tonight. We got our master ball jug collector, Jeannie Moore. So this was the first ball jug featured in the Cambridge catalog in 1931. It's the ebony and it says silver, but we talked about this in a previous gathering, that it's not silver. It's almost certainly white gold. It could be platinum, but I think we're growing consensus that it's white gold, which is gold with either silver or platinum added. So it may well be that there's some silver mixed in, but essentially it's gold. And what happens if you try to polish this, it's like polishing gold incrustation. You're going to take off, you're not going to polish silver because it's not what it is, it's gold. But a beautiful piece. This is an 80-ounce ball jug. And this ball jug was made in just scads of different colors, decorations, etchings, enamels. So if a person was going to collect them all, I don't know how many Jeannie Moore now has in her collection, but they take a little bit of room to display as well, but a very popular selling. It's got these points that the 3400 line, there's no name for the 3400 line, so we have to use 3400 to call it. And it's a very popular piece. In 1934, they introduced a smaller version of it. And it was introduced at that time in Crown Tuscan. So this was in 1933, 34, and Crown Tuscan was introduced in 1932. So for a very short period of time, probably it was actually late 33, 1933 and 34, they made these Crown Tuscan smaller ball jugs with gold incrustations or a gold decorate, the lace pattern. So these are very hard to find. They're very prized in collections, and that's probably because they were made for a very short period of time. Most of them are signed on the bottom, but this one is not. Okay, it's got that enamel stamp on the bottom, Crown Tuscan. Now, this smaller version is 64 ounces. The larger version that is more common is 80 ounces. Now, the number assigned to this blank in later years, they actually say instead of 64 ounces, it holds 72 ounces. So that was a question I was going to have for Jeannie tonight. And we can maybe ask her if she joins us. Was there really a difference in the size of the ball, or did they just recalibrate how much fluid it would hold? I tend to think in things that Jeannie has said and written that, to her knowledge, there's really just two sizes of these ball jugs, either the 80 ounce or the 64/72 ounce version. So I did a search on the library that you can tap into at the Miami Valley website as far as drinking sets, which is in our title for tonight. Nothing came back. So drinking sets was nothing used by Cambridge. And obviously it's nothing that's been used in the crystal ball either. However, there's tumbler sets, and maybe we'll see some people showing tumbler sets tonight. The other thing is that a lot of the jugs, if you go to the price lists from the Cambridge factory, there were jugs and tumbler sets. And these ball jugs, and really all of the jugs, pitchers, and tankers had tumblers of some sort that went along with them. The other thing that I should point out, and we have people in the group that are Caprice collectors, so this ball jug was also made with the Caprice pattern in it, as well as gyro optics. So maybe we'll see some of those variations. I don't have anything like that in my collection. So Julie, that's what I've got to start the program to get it launched here.
Okay, excellent. And yes, I know several of you sent me photos, but we'll get to those at the end. And hopefully we will see some of the examples that you've talked about, Les. So why don't we open it up, Joanne and Claude? We got you first, and we'll put Jeff on deck.
Okay, so this is, I don't know if you guys can see it because I can't see me. I want to
Back it up just a little bit.
Back it up. Hold on.
Mhm.
For whatever reason, my gallery is not doing well. Okay, so this is a king's. It went out of my head. King's crown.
Edward.
King Edward. Yeah, it's a King Edward. And it's cut. And so we have a set of glasses that go with it. And it's just an unusual cut. I mean, not an unusual cut, but an unusual picture, I guess. And then we have a bunch of Mount Vernon, but I thought Jeannie and Freeman would do the Mount Vernon, so I didn't get them out. I don't know if you can see this because it's hard to see on the thing, but it is a tally-ho. It has the swoop like on the ball jugs here and here in the front, and then it has the rings around it, and it's blue. So
Isn't Tally-Ho beautiful in Tahoe blue?
Yeah,
Tally-Ho?
and it has the applied handle with the ribs. I don't think you can see that, but anyway, that's it for us. We didn't get all our Mount Vernon out because we thought Freeman would do Mount Vernon. So
I hate to tell you, you're not going to see any Mount Vernon from them tonight.
Oh, and we have a red one, a green one, and an amber one.
Okay.
So.
Well, but I will tell you, when you held up those pictures, they look absolutely lovely. The cobalt is stunning in that, and so is the King Edward. It just really glistens when you had it a little bit of light in the background. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing with us. Now, do you have glasses that go with the cobalt?
I think somewhere we do.
Okay.
I have no idea where they are, but we do have some.
Okay.
We have some of the stems. We have quite a bit of tally-ho because my sister collects tally-ho. So
okay, good. Well, the lovely pieces. Thank you for sharing. Next, we'll go to Jeff and we'll put Sue on deck. Jeff? You got to unmute yourself.
There we
Jeff.
go.
There we go.
Figure it out.
Okay.
Well, thanks everybody for being here tonight. This is going to be cool. I'm turning my camera around so I can do this a little easier. This is the first one that I have, if you can see it. Oh, where is it? You see, ball jug, of course, 3,400, 38, 80 ounce. That was the first one. I got these in order that I had picked them up. The second one right here is the 3,400, 176 ounce, an optic even, if you can see that. In the Elaine etching, of course, mine are all Elaine etched. The third one is the 3,900, 115, I believe. Correct me if these numbers are wrong, because I'm just trying to figure all these out. In the 76 ounce.
Jeff, it's not critical to provide the numbers. Nobody remembers them anyhow.
Yeah, I know, but hey, I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it's okay.
But anyway, this is the next one I've got. The Dalton style, I believe. That one I've looked for a long time, finally found one of those. And this cute little guy here is a 20 ouncer optic, which is really cool. And the last one I got is this one, that I just picked up. A
Nice.
76 ounce, I believe. I'm not sure how you tell the difference between 76 and 80, but you know, it's just kind of what I can come up with. So, well, that's what I got.
Nice.
That's what
I like
mine
that you
are.
showed us the whole line and also some with the optic. It seemed that a
Yeah.
lot of the etchings, you know, Chantilly's the same. I'm going to show some similar things, but I pulled out a couple unique ones from Chantilly. But I believe a lot of the lines came in those distinct, you know, the ball jug, and then you had the 76, and then you had a little bit of optic. So those were really nice. Very, very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you for
There
sharing
we are.
with us, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks for letting me do it.
No problem. Let's put Sue is up, and then we were going to put Greg on deck, please. Hey, Sue, I know you were here. There you are.
Yes, well, this is the first time I have tried to do the Zoom on my little iPad. So I have, let's see here. I've got several things. You know, most of my collection is Caprice, and it's my true love. So I've got several water sets. This one they call the 7-piece tea set. It's the 80-ounce jug, and they showed that with the number 184 12-ounce tumblers. And I always have the little 3.5-inch coasters that I use with that. So it looks really, really good when it's full of pink lemonade and ice on a day like today. So, and that came with 6 of the tumblers to make the set. And then there is the little, what they call the 7-piece juice set. And it has the little 32-ounce juice pitcher that came with the 5-ounce tumblers. 6 of those made the juice set. And then I have the, look at this, Les. I've got the Caprice decanter, and it was shown with the 2-ounce tumblers. And the interesting thing is, I don't use it like they did. I always use an 80-ounce jug with the 5-ounce ones. And then rather than the decanter, I use the little 32-ounce jug with the 2-ounce tumblers. And the interesting thing to me was when I was playing with all this, those 2 80-ounce jugs look like there may be some difference in size on those. So at what you said, Les, I'm going to be measuring those after the meeting. But the interesting thing too is the little tumblers. The 12-ounce tumbler in Blue Caprice is supposed to be a 12-ounce tumbler. If you fill that to the rim, it holds 10 ounces. And the little 5-ounce tumbler you fill to the rim, it holds 4 ounces. But the little 2-ounce tumbler actually does hold 2 ounces. So it has been a lot of fun looking all these numbers up and seeing what all they have. So that's all I've got with that. But Julie, I do have a picture of the Crown Tuscan jug that
Okay,
Les was showing. And if you want me to show that picture, I can.
you can.
And it's plain.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Can you let me share my
I
screen?
can do that. Let me see. Let
Okay.
me share screen. Okay, you should be able to share now.
Okay. Bear with me here. Well, Okay.
Oh, there you go.
You can't believe how long it took me to figure out how to do that. Okay, this is the one side, and Kim and I were talking. She knew that this was a smaller of the ball jugs. And of course, they call it the 64 ounces. And she said, I don't think it holds that much. However, she got her measuring cup out, and this will hold exactly 64 ounces just to the tip. So it, and as you can see, it's a good picture of the 3400 pattern on that. So anyway, that's all I've got for tonight.
All right. Well, thank you, Sue. And those 2-ounce little tumblers, they are adorable.
Aren't they precious?
Yes,
I love
they
that.
are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like how you put the sets together because it's really gives you that visual, the difference in the size of those tumblers, you know, from the large to the medium size to the small. And I had never really seen the coasters done that way with the tumblers on top of those. So very, very neat how you did that. So thank you so much for that.
It was my pleasure.
Sure. Okay, next we have Greg, and then we'll go to Janice and Jim. I know Greg was there. I'm going to ask you to unmute, Greg. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, I am. Okay. Okay. I have about 6 ball jug, tankard pitchers, whatever the reference name is. But the one I wanted to share and talk about tonight was Aero Optic. I think Aero Optic came about in the late 1920s. And I don't think it lasted a long time, maybe a couple of years. But the ball jug in Aero Optic, I think, is very attractive. It came, I think, with decorated, but I think I have a vase here that Aero Optic with Clio on it. It seemed like Clio was maybe the etching of choice to put on Aero Optic. And I just think it's like the coolest of the Cambridge optics. It's interesting because the optic is actually on the inside. You don't feel it. The outside is perfectly smooth, but inside is where you feel the sort of the pattern, the Aero Optic. So this one's willow blue, and I think it's one of the smaller ones. I can't quite get my hand inside, so I don't know if there's maybe three different sizes for ball jugs. But anyway, this is maybe the medium size. And another thing I like about it is with beverage sets, you get all sorts of different tumblers to go with the beverage sets. I mean, that's probably what a couple of dozen, or at least a dozen different size tumblers. But the tumbler that goes with this is just kind of a neat shape, I think. It holds just the right amount of beverage, in my opinion. And anyway, that's what I had to.
Oh, that is so cool with that Aero Optic tumbler. I don't think I paid attention enough to those. Obviously, I always learn something, and I've never paid attention to the Aero Optic in a tumbler, I guess, or maybe I've never seen one. But that is really cool. Well, thank you for sharing with us. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So next we have Janice and Jim, and then we will go to Shelby, please. So Janice and Jim.
There. Can
There
you
you
hear
are.
me?
Yes, I can.
We've been having computer problems tonight, so we're on our third computer. So oh, of course, these are all apple blossom. Surprise, surprise. So this is a gold crystal jug. I think it's 3,427, 67 ounce, and it's optic. Can you see that?
Yes, when you did that, hold it back and up. That's perfect.
It's kind of a funky shape. Yeah, and oh, here's a little tumbler, 12 ounce that goes with it. So there's similar shapes and pretty neat. I've got a lot of these. This is the Crystal Dalton jug. An apple blossom, of course. And this is Crystal 64 ounce 1205, and it's optic. How is that? Is that all right?
Yes, perfect.
And then this one is, I think it's 3400 101 76 ounce.
Nope, we see them. They're great.
Can you see it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And then I've shown this before, but it counts. This is ebony jugs, 64 ounce, 935. I love the shape. Yeah. And oh, it'll go with just about any little tumbler. And then this is an amber ball jug, and it's optic also. I love the amber, it's so beautiful. And here is the little optic tumbler.
Wow, you can really see a color difference between those two.
Uh-huh. And then this one is 1205, 64 ounce. And it's so tall, I don't know whether I can get it into the picture, but this is optic also. And here's a little optic tumbler to go with it. So the jugs, the color shows up so beautifully in the amber, but by the time they got to the little tumbler, there's not as much glass, it's not as thick, and the color is not as vibrant in the little tumblers. And this one is a 935 12 ounce. No, I don't know what it is. 1202, 935. And that's optic also, but it only goes up to here. And then it's not optic on the top with a little glass. So we missed out hearing Les's presentation. And so I was washing these up today. And this is a ball jug. So I said, ooh, what are the little bumps on there? And there's a patent number down in here on two of my jugs.
On the two crystal ones, we can feel the bumps with a patent number. When we went to the other jugs of ball jugs, that is not there. So I'm using different mold or different time frame.
So wonder if Les knew anything about that.
Well, it would probably be just what you said, Jim. It's probably the time period, because that ball jug in apple blossom would have been early.
Mhm.
And so that's why it probably contains the patent number. You know, I think the patent number was granted in early 1931, and they started selling them later in 1931. But then they just made scads of them after that. So
Yes.
the number, either they
Yes.
intentionally removed it or it just filled in the mold.
Mhm.
That's what I was thinking of happened.
Yeah,
The mold got worn out, or they build new molds because they made so many jugs.
And
Yes.
maybe some people didn't like having a patent number on their jug.
Well, that's all I have to show, so.
Well, that
Thank
was
you.
wonderful. Thank you. And you're right. The amber looks really beautiful held up, but the only
Really
way
is.
you can really see the amber in the tumbler is just in the
Mhm.
very base of it where it's got a little bit of thicker
Yes.
glass, but very
Mhm.
interesting with the optic and everything. Now, see, that one looks darker, that tumbler, compared to the other one you held up.
Yep. Yeah, they're both optic, they're both amber, but yeah, different styles. So. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. How fun. All right, next we have Shelby, and then we will put Christine on deck.
Okay, well, I've been collecting golf scene for over 30 years. And let's see,
Have you unmuted?
I'm unmuted, but can everybody see this?
It's kind of hard to see with the amber, but you can see the etchings
Okay.
there.
Well, it's the 934 jug, etched golf scene. I wish that they would have golden crusted it, because it would really have shown up golden crusted. But the only piece or pieces that I'm aware of in golf scene that are golden crusted are the ebony humidors. From my research, I've not been able to find another golf scene picture that is still in existence. I did learn of one several years ago that was damaged, but this one is mint. But I'd love to see it in other colors. But that's the only one I know of. I don't know, Les, whether you know of others or not, but
It's a very hard etching to find. You know, like you say, if it does pop up, it's normally on the humidors. And I'd never seen a picture before, Shelby, so that's pretty awesome.
okay.
Thank you.
Well, most of the golf scene tumblers, now that's, so I'm switching to tumblers. Most of the tumblers that you see are the number 881s, which are not that any of the golf scene is terribly common, but that's the most common. So what I'm going to show you then tonight are the tumblers that are different, that and so this is a 10-ounce straight-sided tumbler. I think it may be the 8701, but when you look in the catalogs, it's a little hard sometimes to find those. But I've got 4 of those on a tray. Just give me one of the pink ones. Okay. And then I have 2 only of the pink ones that I show on the well, I display it with the 1017 card table tray, which makes a nice display. Then in other straight-sided tumblers, I have these. And probably my favorites are 2-ounce footed cone tumblers.
In the golfer edge.
Yeah, they're all, this is soft golf scene. And then still in the cone-footed tumblers, or it's just the next size up. So that's what I have.
Well, those are outstanding. We so rarely see golf scene Well, like Les said, I've never seen a golf scene picture ever. I'm wondering if they just celebrated a little too much at the 19th hole, and that's why there's not many of those
I'd
around.
love to see one in another color. I say, it was on a website that I did see a reference to another one of these that was damaged, but this is the only one so far that I've been able
Very
to find
thick, very thick glass.
that has survived. So
Hmm.
Shelby, you've been collecting that for a long time. Have you ever found any in blue?
I have the 881 tumblers.
A set of 4?
I only have 2.
Okay.
I would take a couple more if I
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be awesome in blue.
yeah.
Oh,
Can
okay.
Kathy can yeah, the
You have
but-
4 shelves of golfer heads.
but I have basically in the 881 tumblers, I have all the colors, and I have most of them are in sets of 4. But yeah, this I only have 2 of the in the blue.
But you have the ice bucket.
Well, we're not doing ice buckets. She's, well, I said, now
You
she-
gotta show the
I mean,
Let's see the ice
accessories.
bucket.
He
But-
has
but that's-
4 shelves.
that's all of the moonlight blue pieces I have. I have a couple different cocktail shakers, and of course I have the ebony humidors. But it's just interesting that it is a fairly limited line in terms of the number of things that they made in it. It would be nice to have like a whole dinnerware set or something like that, but just not possible.
Well, it was
Well,
it was contemporary with Imperial Hunt. So Shelby, was
Right.
golf not that big a thing as it is today, back in that era in the 20s?
Well, I think it
30s?
was because you had really the Pro Tour was going on. You had great golf players back during that time. But yeah, the hunt scene pieces you see in gold encrusted. I would love this pitch, to see a piece like this picture gold encrusted, because it would just make it pop. So
You have some gold encrusted.
no, yeah, only ebony.
Yeah, we'll have to ask. I know that there's a lot of research now available on the Cambridge Library that you might be able to search through. It would be interesting. Yeah, I don't understand why they wouldn't have had gold etching on that.
Yeah.
It would make it pop a lot better, wouldn't
Oh,
it?
it'd be. I think it'd be gorgeous with gold encrusted, because of the dark color of the amber. It's really hard. It's hard to see the etching.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing. That was a delight.
Oh, thank
And
you.
you don't often see those many things in golf scene. Like you said, we see it often on the humidor, but where else do you see golf scene? It's like you said, hunt scene, you see it everywhere. Why? What happened to the golfers? I
Right.
guess they just weren't vocal enough, or they were too busy golfing to ask for dinnerware.
Right.
I don't know. We'll have to talk. I would really love to know the answer to that one. All right, so moving along, we've got Christine, and then we'll put Tim and Nancy on deck. So Christine, were you able to join us?
Yes.
Awesome.
So, okay, so I wanted to show this, and I looked it up and they called it the guest jug and tumbler. I also have it in Rose Point, but I thought this was really neat. It has I looked it up, 704 etch on it. I don't know if you can see the etch there or not. And then of course it's on the jug as well. I thought that was interesting what you said, Les, that they call it a jug. That was very interesting instead of a pitcher. So thought that's really neat. And then I also have the Archfoot Daisy pitcher. Love this pitcher. Love it. It's really heavy and very useful. So I just love the Daisy. It's like my favorite near cut piece. is the stuff with the daisy pattern. And I thought this was kind of interesting. I wanted to show these, the gyro optics that I have. So here's one. You know, if you can see how it's running kind of sideways up, and then it is a optic as well. And this one's straighter up, so more straight. And then, and I have the tumblers that go with those two. But this is even more interesting, where it kind of goes really sideways. So with the pink, I just thought they're really neat. I love the ball jugs. They're my favorite. I have like the blue with both colored handles and you know, a lot of those with the different colored handles, because I think the ball jugs are just the neatest. They're one of my favorite. So
Yes, mine too. So it was really interesting is, I think you should bring that one ball jug back because the handle is interesting on that. And you don't see it in every pattern where it's
This
more
one?
of that. Yes, the handle that's more of the, I call it the triangular handle.
there, you can see how the handle was. Yeah, I thought that was very unusual as well. So, and of course, the other one has that 3400 has that piece that comes up. This doesn't have that, and neither does the other one.
Mhm.
So it's kind of interesting. They're all three very different.
Yeah, and that
And
handle,
this one has a blue handle too, by the way. The other
Yeah.
ones are all clear.
that handle, a lot of those jugs, you'll find a little star crack where that handle's applied. It's often seen that way. I know the first one I got in Chantilly had a star crack, and then I found another one that didn't have a star crack.
I don't think it does, but I will look at it a little closer just to make sure. So thank you.
Lovely, but that pink one is really unique. I really like how it seems like the bands are even thinner together too.
Yeah, they are. It is true. They are a lot closer together.
Wow.
See this?
Oh, cool.
close
Well,
they
thank you
are
for
together.
sharing.
I thought this is really neat. And it has that, you know, pattern that kind of comes up on this one too, but not that other one with the blue handle.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Thanks, Christine. Love it. Okay, next we're going to go to Tim and Nancy.
Hi there, everybody. Can you hear me?
You're
Yes,
muted.
we can.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, the first one I'm going to show is a amber Rosalie jug. I just got this. And unfortunately, it had stems that went with it. It didn't have any tumbler. So still really like the design of this. And it does have a optic in it also. The next one, we got online trying to figure out what they called this, but the book calls it a W54 in milk glass. Very hard picture to find. Goes with all our milk glass, and pretty happy to have that. Cut glass. This Charlie Upton had two of these. And there's two different patterns. I believe one of them was a Marjorie, and I can't tell you whether this is what this one is or not. They're very heavy. They just call them a water vessel. It's just very interesting. And we've been Caprice collectors for a lot of years. And we'll start with the smallest one. There's your 32-ounce clear Alpine. They call this in the milk jug. This is the little tumbler that goes with it. And it is an Alpine also. And then to keep the series going, this is the 80-ounce ball jug in Alpine clear with a tumbler. And this is the tumbler, it goes with it in Alpine. And then last but not least for that series is a really difficult one to find. And that would be the Dalton. And of all places, this was found on Buy, Sell, and Trade in a little town that's about 30 miles from where I live. And the guy didn't ask much money for it, which even made it better. Then we have Moonlight Blue Alpine with its tumbler. Another very difficult find is the milk jug and Blue Alpine, along with its little tumbler. I think this is probably one of the toughest finds that we've ever ran across. There's your 32-ounce Caprice La Rosa in the milk jug. Les, you might if you would, make a comment on how many of those you've ever seen.
Yeah, the La Rosa and pistachio and mocha, they're all difficult to find. But boy, the pink is popular. It's just gorgeous.
I wish that I had the same milk jug that could go with the little 2-ounce La Rosa Alpine tumbler. We've got a couple of these, but we've not been fortunate enough to be able to buy a 32-ounce Alpine in La Rosa. That's all I've got to show tonight.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And it's good to see you both. And I think you're going to like maybe what you're going to see coming up, because Gwinnell's going to have a few things that you guys might be jealous of one another. That's all I can say.
I like jealousy.
I figured you would. So this is a perfect lead in to the pictures now. So thank you, Tim. Thank you, Nancy. Always appreciate that you can join us and share your collection. So I'm going to share my screen now. And we're going to go here. I got to go up. Sorry. Got to go up into our, there we go.
Did you get me muted?
Oh, I'll get you muted. Don't worry.
Oh my.
There we go. Okay, now I'm going to let our good friend Gwinnell take over.
All right, well, there's the La Rosa in the plain, in the juice, as well as the larger 80-ounce. We are also looking for the Alpine little juice. So. And that's a gyro optic. I think it's in Willow with the tumblers.
Let me see if I can move. Yep. Sorry, I got to move my screen down here so you can see your. Yep. It's the 83-ounce jug. You have down the 12 ounces.
Uh-huh. So gyro optic was done in several different patterns. There's the crystal Caprice in the large 80-ounce and the small 32-ounce, in both the plain crystal as well as the Alpine crystal, and tumblers that go with them.
I like how you're showing this here so we can really see the difference in the sizes and in the tumblers. Again, the same way that Sue showed them. It's always good for me personally to see that scale and the difference in scale. It makes it really, gives you a better perspective visually. I'm a visual person, so it's easier for me to understand, ounces obviously, but scale is better for me.
Now on the larger tumbler, they did make that in a 10-ounce as well as a 12-ounce. So they did do both. The 10-ounce is just a little bit shorter than the 12-ounce. So I'm going to have to go back and remeasure both of mine and see which one measures what. There's the blue Moonlight in the plain as well as Alpine along with the tumblers.
Very nice.
And the Dalton jugs, the crystal and the amethyst with the Farber. We don't have tumblers to go with them. And then the moonlight blue in the plain as well as in the alpine. I mean, the Dalton.
Look at Tim back there. He's just so excited right now. He can't stand it. He wants to grab it. I see him.
We are looking for the crystal alpine, so
We have not got that.
we have not got that one yet. That's
Wow.
on Scott's list.
Okay, so that's all we've got for Gwinnell and also Scott. Are there any questions for them?
There was one more picture of a.
Did I miss it?
An
Oh, which
amber
one?
color.
Oh, did I miss it? Was it in the first set? You know what? I took the second set that Freeman sent me. We'll
You
go
may-
back to it. I'll find my email. We'll get back to it.
Okay, well, I've got the tumbler that goes with the amber set, but I'll show it if you can find the other one.
Okay.
It's Christine's blue one, but it's in amber.
Okay, well, let me stop sharing and you can show that.
And then I've got the,
You want to go
This
ahead and
is
show that,
amber.
and then I'll have to go back and find the
this is a
picture.
fiber optic that's got the triangular handle on it. And it does have the twist. Like Christine was showing. I don't know if you can see
Let's
that.
see if I can pull. Just give me a second, Gwinnell. I gotta find your photos.
It was not like I didn't send them twice.
Oh, here it is. I got it. I got it. Let me see if I can just make this large. Then I'll have to share my screen again. Oh, just a second. Well, let's see if I can't do this and share a screen at the same time. Just a moment here. That was not good. We did something we're not used to doing. All right, let me share the screen and everyone should be able to see what I'm seeing. Okay, can we see the amber one there now?
Yeah, that's a small one.
Yeah, sorry. I think
Yeah.
it's the first set of pictures you sent me were the small pictures and then Freeman told you resend them.
We worked on it this afternoon to make them bigger.
Yeah,
You
I'll
need to
see.
get that one.
I'll see if I can't get back to it and make it bigger. We'll make it bigger when we send it to everybody.
I had trouble getting it to get bigger without blurring everything, but it does
Yeah.
have the small juice beside it.
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing here for a second. And I'm gonna reshare so I can get back to the PowerPoint. Okay, are we back to the PowerPoint? Everybody see the bigger PowerPoint? With the blue jugs? Blue
Mhm,
ones?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so next. There we go. I have to move gotta move you guys around a little bit here so we can see. Okay, this came from Jeannie and Freeman. These are actually the picture I believe you just showed, Christine, is the daisy. And they've got the little glass to go with it. What would that be, Les? Maybe a 5-ouncer?
Probably. Now that picture is actually a little different than Christine's because
thank you.
Christine's had the arch foot on the bottom,
You're right.
but the daisy design is the same otherwise.
And here's another tankard at 3,200. And again, with the tumbler.
Cut wild rose.
Thank you. And here is the 2660 tankard and its associated vessel, drinking vessel, along with the 2651 and its drinking vessel. What do you think the ounces are on that 2651? You think that's probably a 48 ounce or less?
I don't know. It's hard to get the scale just from the picture, but that's a pretty good size jug.
Yeah.
So it would
It
hold
is.
quite a bit, I think.
Okay. And here's the last one that I know they sent me a few others. This is the 2631. Now I noticed this one has a little bit of a lip on it more so than the others. That's a question I'm going to hold for later. But again, the small, I believe this is probably a 5-ounce juice glass to go with it. And of course, Jeannie and her ball jugs. I know this is just some of them of her ball jugs, but she has many more. I visited their home last year. I was fortunate enough to be there, and they're everywhere. And they're lovely, absolutely lovely. As you can see, there's some in apple blossom. You have some silver in the middle, and then you've got the caprice, heather bloom at the top, and some gold Portia, gold Diane, rose point. Anything I'm missing in there that of interest, Les?
I think you covered it.
So really beautiful. And these were the last two that they sent, the 2653 and the 2656 flashed. Really beautiful. Again, I look at these as kind of what you said, Les, more of the, I would call them the tankard style. Not so much as what we think of a pitcher as some of the others we've seen.
The 2656 is the Star of Bethlehem. That's a real popular near cut pattern.
Thank you.
And the other one's ribbon, of course, 2653.
Yep. So next we had received some photographs from Jack and Elaine Thompson. I saw Elaine. I don't know if you and Jack are on, Elaine, are you?
Yeah, we are. Can you hear us, Julie?
Yes, I can. So you just go
Okay.
ahead and chit chat about your pieces.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. It's good to be around. We're kind of we're on vacation, so we're kind of almost incognito at the moment. So I appreciate Julie showing these for us. I kind of put some of each era out of our collection, and this is a jug that's the near cut daisy jug, and you saw it both. They made this picture as they did a number of near cut daisy pieces, both with the arch foot and with the flat bottom. They chose to do that with a lot of different things, and this picture does have the arch foot, and this is the gold and red flashed in there. Cambridge, you really have to, these pieces are very nice when they're in good shape, but so often they're not in good shape. Cambridge just was not very good at knowing how to do that. And it's just the sign of the times in that era. And so anyway, but it's really beautiful when you can find those that aren't where the gold and the red flashing are still in good shape. So
We're having a moment. Obviously, my computer's not happy with something I did. Just a second.
it'll get there.
Yeah. I'm going to do this. Just a second. I'm going to stop sharing and then I'm going to reshare because it went out of order. Let me get back to where it needed to be here. Sorry about that, everyone. It just all of a sudden had a glitch. Just when I was doing so well there. Oh, I know what I did. It was me. It wasn't the picture, it was me. When I copy things, I copy them over and over again, and I obviously duplicated a slide, so I apologize for that. Okay, we'll go back. So we entered that slide by mistake. So let me go to the next slide. Okay. Pop up. Well. Oh, there we go. There we go, Jack. Sorry.
Okay. I don't think this was the order that I put them in, but that's okay.
No, it wasn't. I changed it around.
Okay. So thought I'd throw a beverage set in Rubina, and this has the white gold trim both on the tumblers and on the jug as well. And when they did this, anything that had the honeycomb optic, Cambridge put that in what they called the 500 line. So, but anyway, it was a very nice set to find. So we'll go to the next one. Okay, this is this order. Okay.
I'm keeping you guessing because you weren't, I didn't know if you were going to be here. So since I was going to be here, I just put them in the order that I thought would be fun.
Okay. All right. No problem. So this is the Dalton jug and golden crusted Elaine. And we'd seen a couple, I think Jeff had one of these as well, that had the one. So that's the golden crusted, helps kind of really show the etch up.
This is what Shelby wish he had in golf scene.
Here is that same Dalton jug cut, and this one is cut Lucia. And we love to find, which are not all that easy to find, cut Dalton jugs. So we've got a couple of them, and this one that we thought looked, it really shows the cutting up the best. So, okay, next. Threw this in there. This is the same set as the Rabina set we showed earlier, but this was one in light emerald. And again, this was done in the mid 1920s. Only they made this for a few years. This does show up in the 27 catalog, but this just shows it a little differently than the Rabina one said, but it's the exact same type of set. So, okay. This is also during the mid 1920s. This is the 935 jug, and this says peach blow, and it has a really nice cutting on, unidentified. And it is a gray cutting, as were most of the cuttings done in the 1920s. They did not polish these out, but that being his way, the gray cuttings actually show up on those early transparents a lot better than if they would have polished them. So I don't know if that was intentional or not or whatever, but anyway, it does show up very nicely on that. Okay, next. And here's another, this is a tough jug to find. And this is again, middle 1920s, the 91 jug, and it is cut 884. And again, it is a gray cutting. So, and it does have the twist handle. People will call that extruded. Number of different names for that, but that jug actually came with both a plain handle and the extruded handle. You'll find that both ways. So don't know, they just the flavor of the day, whoever was making them, I guess, or whatever they were wanting. So
now with that applied handle there, Jack, do you see a lot of these jugs, such as the one I talked about earlier? Does it have some cracking that occurs there, or not really so much?
This one does not. I've seen them where they have cracked, and I don't, but whether that's as you are, I don't know if you're inferring that that's more the rule than the exception. I can't really answer that. I haven't studied them that closely enough. Mm-hmm. Normally, if it has that cracking in them, I do not, I try to get one that doesn't have that in it. So.
Right. I was just told that was with the applied handle that often occurred.
Okay. Here's another Rabina. This is the 550 lemon. A lot of people call this the lemonade set with the mugs, the matching mugs. It has the wide a panel optic on each one of these. And I love the jug because it really has the beautiful blue handle on it. So, and this is also the same, these same mugs they did with a couple of different things. I also put it with the punch bowl as well. So.
Yeah, that's stunning with the blue handle, just stunning.
Yeah. And I wanted to throw this in there, but I think we had the King Edward picture in before. That was a gorgeous picture. Who had that to start off earlier? This is actually the Sheffield private mold that they did with the squat picture with the King Edward on there as well. So we like to collect the King Edward, and it's and it has a silver base, of course, because it was a Sheffield. That was a Sheffield sterling piece. So yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you for those, Jack. And now you'll understand why I shuffled your order, because I put a few pieces of my own in, and this was my transition slide. So I apologize.
Was that my last one?
Yes, I believe it is.
Okay. I also wanted to make a comment about the ball jugs. one thing that's really interesting, and it is kind of people have kind of alluded to these throughout the evening, is that when the ball jug first was introduced in the 1930 catalog, it was non-optic. But 4 or 5 pages later, I can't remember, it's just a little later in a catalog supplement for the 3034 catalog, an image shows it as with optic as well. So they were making that ball jug very early on, both optic and non-optic. Now, an interesting thing happens, and this is where I wanted to point this out. Many of the 3400 pieces, they would take in the late 1940s, they would take out that dart that we associate with the 3400 line. They'd add optics to it and put them in the 3900 line. Well, when they did the ball jug, they didn't take the dart out. They just made it optic. So it is very difficult to tell if you have an etch, and apple blossom isn't one of them, but if you have an etch like Elaine or Rose Point or one of the other ones that was made in both periods and it's optic, there's no way to know whether it was actually part of the 3400 line or the 3900 line because it was made in both periods. So like when they showed the apple blossom one, of course, that was, we know, even though it was optic, that we know that was made early because that was not made in the later time period. But many things were, and it's impossible to say. So I just wanted to point that out on the ball jugs. And that happened with other jugs too that we saw tonight. In fact, Jeff showed a couple of optic pictures. Those were definitely 3900. They were 3400 pictures where they made them optic, and when they made those optic, they were actually part of the 3900 line. So just something a little extra, and I throw in there.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. As I said, this kind of leads into my collection because so many of these items, as Jack has just said, were on Sheffield bases, where they would make them with the Sheffield base, but then also they were made in the Cambridge line. And it looks odd all of a sudden when you don't see the base on it and you're used to seeing it with a base. So I collect Chantilly. It's one of my primary collections. I've collected it for now almost, 30 years. So I've got many of my items. I will have it with the silver and without the silver. So here is the smallest as out of the 3400, and then with the Marie Sheffield base. Here's, we've seen this juice pitcher several times on the left. And here is the arrow, the optic, not the arrow optic, but the optic in the small 20 ounce juice. And I always like to show this because this was actually, my parents got me this for our wedding. So I always kind of cherish this piece. It's very sentimental to me. And then here are two kind of unusual pieces. The one on the left side, you'll see it's 8 inches tall. I put the ruler there because a lot of people asked me what this was, and I actually took it to show and tell one year, and we decided that it probably should have a Farber base because it is the correct pitcher that would be in a Farber mold, but I did not receive it in a Farber mold. I purchased this off of eBay, and I thought it was quite unusual. So, it just didn't have a Farber base when I purchased it. And then again, we've seen this picture a couple of times on the right-hand side. Again, a pristine picture. You can kind of see in mine, though, the little bit of cracking that occurs right around that handle, which I'm told is extremely common. And it's always got this bigger, as I call it, the pouty lip because it sticks out a lot more. And last, it's really strange to see the little milk pitcher without being on its silver base, but here is the little milk pitcher without a silver base. Everybody goes, are you sure that's not a creamer? It is not a creamer. It is a very small pitcher without a silver base. And we've seen this optic base many, many times. Now, Les, one of the questions I had to ask you is you often see something in the description as a, I'm going to look it up because it's in my little catalog. It'll say ice lipped. What does that mean in the description when it says ice lipped?
Well, it just would seem to be common sense to me that it's folded over more on top, so the ice doesn't come out. So the one on the left, you can see it curves in on top on both sides. So, I mean, that's just, I don't have any evidence from the company on that, but it just seems like that common sense, that's what would be what it would be, a lip to hold the ice.
Okay. I just wondered because I see it sometimes and I figure if I have a question, someone else might have that question as well.
I saw that in some of my mother's depression glass. She had both pictures, one with the lip where it curved over and one without. So we figured it was the ice lip.
Yes, and I have that too in my Chantilly pictures. One has it, one does not. Now this is the gold rimmed and you can't see it well, but there is gold applied on the handle that comes down and around on this particular picture. But it, as you notice, it's not gold encrusted. It's just has the rim outlined in gold as it does the base. So it's kind of an interesting little piece in Chantilly. And then the other juice that's here on the right hand side. And unfortunately, these pictures aren't as good as I'd like them to be, but it's got this very nice curve in it. And again, an applied handle, which I find unique. And then just kind of falling back, that's all the pictures I have. I did have a lemonade piece, but since Jack showed his, I am not going to show mine. Mine was in mulberry. I wanted to remind everybody again, we all need to give ourselves a round of applause because the endowment fund did hit the 1 million mark this week. So we again thank everyone for contributing to our endowment fund. So I'm going to stop sharing. There we go. And does anyone have any questions as we kind of wrap up our jugs and our ice pitchers tonight? For Les?
Julie, we had a.
Oh, you do. Excellent. Thank you.
So yeah, I think this was probably one that you had, but
not the silver base one, not the silver base one. So that's perfect.
The silver base, yeah. And then 3400, the royal blue with the tumblers. And this makes a nice display for 4th of July. We've got it on the buffet with some Carmen and milk glass. And then, of course, the ball jug. We do have the block optic that Jack and Elena also shared with the tumblers. We have a set in amber as well, but would love to find one in Rabina. And then this is the 937, kind of a plain, but we'd like the simplicity of it. And then the last one we brought out was the 3400, 107 jug with the cover and the tulip etch.
Beautiful.
And it's got the reeded handle. That's it.
Well, thank you. I'm sorry I missed you before. I didn't see an email from you, so my apologies.
Oh yeah, no, I figured you probably didn't see it, but it's fine.
Yeah, no, that blue has to be stunning out there for 4th of July.
Yeah, it is really, like I said, looks really nice with milk glass, and we've got the milk glass covered urn and the Everglade vase on the buffet with a couple of Carmen pieces. So it's really pretty.
Nice. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad you interrupted me to say you had something to share. I apologize for missing you.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay. Is there anybody else before we go to the end of the program? All right. Now, Les, you'll have to remind me, what do we have coming up next month? Do you know?
Well, I'm sorry, Julie, but you're going to be stuck with me to do the lead again, because next time is enamel decorations. I expect this will be a popular one, and I think a lot of people should have glass to show. So Cambridge did a lot of enamel over the years, up until about 1935. So if you hunt your collections, what you may have in there in the teens, they did the ebony with the floral enamel decorations on it. In the 1920s, they did the iris decoration on ivory. They also did enamel incrustation on etchings on colors like ivory and azurite and primrose, a little bit of jade. So that would also be enamel. And then, of course, from about 1931 to 1934, they kind of went crazy on enamel on crystal, including the Varsity Sports line, the Scotties, the numerous other decorations from that period. So, it was a tough time for the company there in the 1930s during the Depression. And I know Mark Nye wrote often that was one way to keep the company afloat, was to come up with new things. And enamels really did help the Cambridge factory stay afloat and keep its employees working during the Depression.
Okay.
So that's the topic for next month. So look in your collections, lots of different types of enamels to share with us.
Yes, there are. There's several types of enamels. So wonderful. And again, I thank all of you for joining us tonight. It's always a pleasure to see everyone. We look forward to seeing you each and every month, obviously, and look forward to seeing what you have in your collection. So when I get off the call, obviously, I think of all the things that I saw tonight and wish that I had in my collection. So thank you for sharing again. And thanks for joining us. Jack and Elaine, thanks for joining us during vacation. That was nice. And if no one has any other questions, we'll bid adieu for this month, and we'll look forward to next month's enamel program. So thank you everyone for joining, and have a great summer and stay safe out there in the heat. Okay.